Good morning, everyone. Happy Memorial Day to all of our veterans and families of veterans serving our country and life. So markets are up. Trading range of development. Is the big question is, do they make additional new all-time highs, breaking above the highs? They're going in the right direction. You can see we're in the futures here, starting at the futures S&Ps. Um, reading. Okay, so yeah, trading range at the beginning of the week, we were talking about the potential of a Head and Shoulders top. Let me crush that up a little bit to make it more visible. Um, and this is what was beginning to shape up. And whenever we see a Head and Shoulders top, always, right? You're going to mark off the support area, but you're also going to mark off, and I've condensed this to a 180-minute chart to squish up the data to be able to see more of it. The right shoulder. You always mark off the right shoulder and alert. Historically, if it gets above that, it's going to make some type of a meaningful move because this is a distribution pattern. And when it fails, right, with distribution patterns, not only is there selling, there is short selling because the anticipation is that bearish pattern is going to lead to a move down here. But there was no confirmation. And so this brings in selling. And a holiday weekend, usually they're, up. And then we had the interest rates whipping back and forth, of course. So this is marching its way higher, potentially. See if you can get up here today. Um, let's take a look at other markets and see how they're participating. Here are the NQs. Little narrow range bar, but going in the right direction. But you can see trading range. Should put that up a little higher, of course. You got to swing high up there in the same topping pattern and then flip back up. And this is, as I'm looking at this, I can see it's not as high as the S&Ps are. So a little underperformance or relative weakness overall. A little erratic price action there, but it's marching higher toward that resistance area. And there's your trading range. So pretty clear on the daily chart trading range here. You got a head and shoulders pattern that did not follow through, and now it's inching its way up toward resistance. Let's look at the Dow, which is on its way to new all-time highs. And it's been just sideways for about a month. And a day before yesterday, we got that reversal bar. And that, the size of the bar signaled that should go higher. And so we see what is, it suggests to us what should happen, and we see if there's follow through. And so the weekly chart, which I have over here, see where it's going to close. But right now, this is the futures market. Will it close at new all-time highs? And of course, the Dow is what makes the headlines in the media. Will that make new all-time highs? And we'll see by the end of the day. Anyway, this is bringing up the rear, so to speak. Look at the futures here. We looked at the other, and one was flipping around back and forth. It was below the high, and this broke out. So money's rotating into the laggard, and that's why that is going up. Let's take a look at the Russell. So this is up at resistance. And this came out of the blocks yesterday, like, wow. So yesterday was a pretty interesting day, besides the news that came out when the markets were dead and then it ripped higher. But this one was the leader first thing in the morning, right? It just ripped. to the upside, and it rattled around and just seemed like we were just going to be in for a go nowhere day, an inside day. And then the news came out and everything just surged at that time. And now it's at resistance. So I suspect the upside is limited. You can see it here on that 180-minute chart as it's coming up into this area. You can poke up through it, and that would suggest that the upside is limited for this. Let us look at crude oil. That's up a little bit. Well, that says green, but it's not green here. I guess it's above yesterday's close, but not at the open. It's just going nowhere. Everybody's, is it really going to happen? Is it not going to happen? How many times have we heard, it's going to end, it's, almost over, and it's not. So keep an eye on this or USO and see if it breaks below these lows here, whatever it's going to do. Probably nothing much is going to happen today. Bond market closes 2:00, so we'll see where they go, and let's just see where they're at. There's the 10-year. Yeah, up a little, kind of pushing up. It's in a downtrend. So for the moment, that helps the markets put some, floor under them, help them move up a bit as they are. You can see this head and shoulders type of a bottom down here, pretty erratic. There's no rounding of the shoulders. They're just spikes back and forth. But this has got room to move up toward where it broke down from. We'll see if it can get there. You've got a pretty bullish reversal bar there. So as long as this is going up, yields are going down. That's going to help support the market overall. Downtrend. Look at the weekly downtrend. All of that until changes. Say yields are going to go higher, and if they do go higher, what we know, the way the market's been reacting, stock market's going to come down. And so as we think about, okay, the Dow make new all-time highs today, markets are up where they are. There has been this rotation, which is great. It's great that there's the rotation, and that could help stabilize things overall. But this is not a positive scenario with interest rates threatening to continue to push up, above these highs. So it's definitely something we're going to be keeping a very close eye on in the coming days and weeks. And this is the 30-year, which pretty much moves with the other one, but it's down a little bit. So, so for today, Friday, it's helpful for equities to maintain their bullish movement. Let's get to SPY. Always, you see spiders continuing to move up toward that high. They act like, damn, they can make new all-time highs. The Dow can make new all-time highs. I'm guessing the Qs don't, but semiconductors did come back yesterday. They were teetering there and they came back. NVIDIA was all over the place. So that's going to gap up right into that prior high. Going to be another unfilled gap on the chart. And so right in the middle of that green bar. And yes, the weekly is extended, but this has been consolidating. Look at the candle bodies. So, of course, well, it's confusing because the bars get confusing. I mean, topping tail, it's extended. Oh, it should pull back. Then buyers come in, it's a bottoming tail bar. Overall, you look at this on a closing basis and it's up a little bit and just it's chopping, what you can see here on that chart. Now, SPX, I got to check these numbers because where they were when I first started here in 70. Yeah. Now, this has come up from where it was yesterday, almost 100 points. What does that mean? Well, it means what it means, but it also means that sentiment is changing dramatically over the last few days. Check that number, 75. The call strike went up, but not as much as the put strike. So bears are running for cover now. And they're like, this Head and Shoulders, whatever, it's extended. It ain't working. And, get the hell out of the way. And that put strike as it came up after that movement, I think it was like 80, 85 points from where it was yesterday. And so it's going to open up here. So it would seem to me, I mean, look, this is a starting point, is an extreme. You'd have to sell quite wide to make this pay for you. But the probability of going down there today before the holiday, again, this is a guess, probably 2% or less. It's not going to go down there. And ask a quick question. Is that pullback in the S&P 500 to the 20 MA a valid pristine buy setup? What the hell is a pristine buy setup? There's no such animal as a pristine buy setup anymore. That evaporated, gone when I sold that old company. Anyway, what I'm telling you, so look, there's a lot of details into the price analysis that we teach. It's called Master Trader Technical Strategies. So this has pulled back. There's a lot more detail, and I'll explain. If you've been in here recently, I've called this a poke bar. What the hell is a poke bar? That's a bar that's not marked as a pivot, but it's a major support level on a smaller time frame. So we don't need to mark like the old pristine course where I marked things as a level 2, 3, 4. That was confusing. It explained things, but it was overly complicated. Whereas today, the teachings are simplified. And a poke bar tells us that there is a major support point in a smaller time frame. Then the retracement concepts. This retraced 100% in a strong uptrend, right? A master trader buy setup doesn't pull back to major support. It stops at minor support and a rising 20 MA. And remember, giving you a little education here, moving averages are subjective. In the strongest of trends, prices don't pull back to the 20 MA. And that's why people start moving toward 10 MAs or 8 MAs or exponential MAs, trying to look for the holy grail. Okay. So I don't know. Maybe the 10 MA is there and that fits the narrative of a moving average being support, which it's not. It could be a self-fulfilling prophecy. What you recognize here is that it pulled back to a level in the strongest of trends where it does not. Right? But when it does, you know that there are buyers there. And that's why we spoke about the smaller time frame, the major support, the deep retracement, the Head and Shoulders pattern, and whether it would break the lows to go down into the void below, or whether it would take out the high, right, the swing high, and start moving up. So if you're a past student, we have deals for Master Trader Technical Strategies course for old pristine students. And if you're interested in that, email me, Greg at Master Trader. Okay. Well, Dan's posting there. Come into the green room and you get education every single day, which we had an amazing talk yesterday in the green room. So I'm so happy that we've been having more of that in the green room, and hopefully we get more participants to share their journey in trading and difficulties and, great things and struggling things. And yesterday was great. All right. So there's today, bullish bets increasing. There's Qs. Here's the trading range. There's a little bit of a lower high there. It's up at the top of the range, no resistance. And we looked at interest rates. We looked at oil. Bitcoin, just not doing it here. So here's another example of what I just talked about. Move up, cuts through the 20. Okay, it should not have gone down here. It should have broken out sideways. We should have got a red bar ignored, and it should have moved up, and it didn't. And now it's on major support. And if you can visualize, you know, is this coming or is this coming? I think we'll find out next week. And other than that, I'm done. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, I was just gonna have you tell him that, Greg, is this coming or this coming? How do you answer that, intelligently? Well, the first thing I would do is look at a bigger time frame. Second thing, look at things that affect it. We're looking for clues.
Bar by bar analysis.
Right, I'm saying beyond that, what other things could you look at to improve your prediction of up or down?
I don't know. Right now, I just wait to see which way it's going to go. Does it break, or do we get a big bottoming tail bar? Or, I mean, the weekly chart is clearly bottoming, and
Right, on the dailies, well, I did different than the futures. But yeah, I mean, this could go sideways and roll over, and yeah. Alarms, poets. We're in that buy setup. Today's Friday. We bought that on Wednesday. We're in trail mode. eToro is a buy setup with a deep retracement, but I kept it on my list. Looks like my up alarm went off. Let me just reset it higher. 40, spot 10. Diamonds, up alarm, nice entry yesterday. LNT, nope, that's an old alarm. Qualcomm, we did a put spread yesterday, but I like it as a 2 to 2. I don't think it'll make a new high. And when I say this, I don't think it'll make a new high. I'm talking about in one fluid move. Of course, it could in a month after zigging and zagging and consolidating. But that was a nice close, multiple bar turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bar turn. So that's a directional watch. Semis class. Well, I'm gapping up a couple bucks here. Even though Nvidia is flat, today's Friday, so 0 DTE day. This could be a 0 DTE call spread. I'm gonna set an alarm 219.15. FRMB, that's a climb I've been watching for a week. 56.41. And again, MRAM buy stuff. So Greg, I was contemplating posting this until I saw how big the stop has to be. So even with a $40 target, you have like a $5 stop. But we'll keep an eye on it. Let's see. Thomas, it's not a great void, but it would be a good, and I don't see anything happening pre-market, but it'd be a put spread. I mean, it was put spread galore yesterday. We gave a bunch, took profits on a bunch. Um, Marble alarm. I moved the stop. We have that was one of the many put spreads we put on yesterday. So that's gapping up good. IBM, I wanted to give this wasn't an igniting gap. And then right here on the pullback, and just didn't get filled with what we wanted, but that's on fire with Trump's announcement yesterday. And Merck, we did a put spread. Alex is getting paid a whole lot more as a directional with a big gap. So we'll take our money on the put spread, 30-minute low. ANAD, yeah, I looked pre-market. I was going to post this for a put spread. That's a kind of a textbook of, W bottom, even though that started by the gap. But the spreads are too wide. And I said I like to, if we got a 1, 2, 3, Thomas, but now it's gapping up $4. What are you going to do with it? Geo, got a topping tail. It has to simmer down. Look at this Futu bottom right. I just saw this on the ticker this morning, and this is a textbook gap and snap. It's a Climo. And now you're freaking gapping down 50% or whatever. That is amazing. All right, those are all the alarms. Let's go to the earnings here. There's not many. We're getting to be the tail end. It's opening flat. Fall spread, if anything. Flow, slop, let's go slop. This I'm going to watch to see if we can get a 1, 2, 3 for next week. Zoom 106. So that's a put spread on a pullback. 0 DTE if we get it, or I can even consider next week. Workday 131, still bottoming pattern, but put spread. Lion, animal sector, nice 20 above the 50. Multi-week consolidation. But gaps pretty big. T2 249, gaps too big. Deck, it's gapping down $1, but no pattern. Ross 226, gapping up here. I mean, this might set up for a call or put spread, or maybe both. The Condor. CAE was a potential bottoming pattern. It provided it took out the weak side, but now it's gapping down, so that won't happen. Bravo Julia, ugly gap. We'll come back and see if players step up near support. That's a junk pattern. GSL. It's a sloppy buy setup. Retracing with overlapping bars, but gapping down now, so no interest. Let's sit on earnings. PRND I mentioned, MRAM I mentioned, Life. This is a nice pattern. 21. So that's a nice pattern. I'll put that in a window. Like 5V is not extended, so if you're wanting to get on board something and feeling like it's a runaway train, that's an idea. And then we talked about go to quantum, let's a quantum ETF. And this thing's been on fire. The quantum stocks were rocking yesterday along with that IBM. And I only kept one of them, QUBT. Big day, but that's not a good swing. But the other ones were either too extended or no pattern. Estee Lauder is calling off its merger. So that's a bullish gap, put spread on a pullback. A con, like it's all on the ticker. I think it can bobble around and tighten up for a week. You got a buy set up on the weekly. And then target could be 40. But it needs to settle down. Qualcomm Light, it was down earlier this morning, and this I'm watching for 1, 2, 3. Buy setup, deep retracement. Yeah, so whenever you have $1,000 stock, spreads are gonna be bad. Circle, we have an open put spread. I might put this in the weekend letter. If it were to close just like this, it's a candidate for another put spread for next Friday over the high, of course. Curve, put spread at best. A little new low reversal. The 5,200 slink, sloppy buy setup, a 3-bar turn. Let me set an alarm at 20 spot 45 on slink. And that brings us right to the opening bell. EWC, Greg mentioned, it's Canada. But it kind of reminds me of the diamonds, bullish consolidation. And two, it got creamed on earnings on volume. Warning a buy setup. We had a put spread, but we took our money yesterday. Core, I would like the level 1, 2, 3. United, I would love a put spread, but no premium. Man, my alarms are going nuts here. Mobley. Mobley, I like daily 15. Let's buy a half lot yesterday's high. Stop yesterday's low. O2 bottom right, I'm watching that MRAM middle chart. Let me just set an alarm now.
IYT should play catch up if it can get above this high last 2 days. Transportation index.
You mean LMT?
No, IYT, transportation index.
Yeah, we're in as an ETF. All right, so yesterday's high, Mobley, will be 998. Yeah, highlight T looks fine. OM. Can find better. All right, MRAM, I'll set an alarm at 33 now. TRMB triggering.
Nvidia got sold on the gap up, but
Yeah, I might should maybe call spread. I have an alarm.
So this, we'll watch next week to see. Yesterday's topping tail is not good, but on a closing basis, if that pulls back to the rising 20 MA, we play bar by bar, we could get a buy set up on that. But we got to see if it's going to make a turn.
You like that as a buy setup with yesterday's tail?
I got to see what it does. If it does it stop at the rising 20? Does it go to minus support? I'm just saying this is in an uptrend. So that's just one bar. And I always say, what is the weight of the evidence? What is stronger, one bar versus a stock that's making higher highs and higher lows at new all-time highs? So it's just a watch right now. We'll see what happens.
It's just too far from the 20 for me, Thomas, Cisco, and let's just day trade. J&J. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's a definition of a catch-up trade to Merck. They look very similar. You got a void, nice gap, target 240. So yeah, I like that as catch-up trade.
Thomas, are you in? This was your recommendation. FIVN. If this can hold on to this gain, and it's only whatever 933, that's got to go in the weekend letter, Dan. It looks like this. I'm in it because Thomas recommended it.
Yeah, yeah. I had been watching that for a week, making the turn.
This is a software stock. So that sector is under accumulation.
Flank alarm, but why did my that one little tail set off flank? Just reset it. Still going through alarms here. eTour. Well, maybe 30-minute high eTour. Mobley, that was an early alarm, so fine. CTS. 30-minute high day trade. Zotis. Start as a day trade, maybe hold it after. But it's finally building a base, and I can tell by definition that it's an hourly breakout. Qualcomm still moving. That's ETFs. There's no weeklies. Spreading, same old, but yeah, 30-minute high. I like it. Diamond, Mobley, Al. There's your Al.